Yes guys, welcome back to the FPL Fan Show. For those that are new, my name is FPL Nacho and this is my Game Week 10 recap and Game Week 11 preview. Now, for those who are usual to the channel, you know that I usually do a bit of a recap, bit of a deep dive on players that underperformed and overperformed for Game Week 10. However, because of the international break coming up and the Friday deadline, I'm going to take the opportunity over that 2-week period to do a bit of a deep dive into some of the players that are underperforming and overperforming over those 11 game weeks. So I'm going to save that for a few videos over that international break. So this video is going to be mainly focused on how I got on in game week 10 and my plans for game week 11. In particular, what I'm doing with those Spurs assets now that Nuno has been sacked and we think Conte is going to be the new manager. So stay tuned for all that. And guys, as always, if you want to support the channel, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. So guys, let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is my game week 10 performance, and for those that have been following me on this channel, you know that it's been a torrid time since I activated that wildcard. I think it was about 4 red arrows on the bounce, but finally the FPL gods rewarded me and gave me a green arrow, and I'm now back in the 100k, currently at 86,206 in the world. Obviously prior to that I was around 103k, so a lovely little green arrow, and thankfully I have had a little bit of luck in the game and slowly getting myself back to where I think my team should have been prior to that wildcard disaster, which I'm still happy with my choices. Just of course the outcome wasn't what I expected. So just to quickly wrap up what I got 53 points and James basically carrying the team there with his brace against Newcastle and 3 bonus points. Obviously picked him up on my wildcard and he has been awesome for me the last 2 game weeks. And while he is a little bit of a worry in terms of going forward rotation risk, I do think that in the long term he is going to be paying me back with that high ceiling that he does have in comparison to the likes of Azpilicueta, who I think is a brilliant pick, but I prefer a little bit of a riskier pick, and at his price range right now he is phenomenal value. So I'm completely happy to have Reece James. But to be said about the others, guys, double Man City defence since I pulled that trigger in the wildcard has not paid off at all. Now, Cancelo I'm still very keen to hold on to. I kind of put him in the same bracket as Reece James. Think he's still got a high ceiling and plays in one of the best defences in the league. Diaz, on the other hand, I'm starting to question the value for him right now. Obviously around 6.1 million. Starting to look at the likes of Chilwell, who's similar price, and of course other assets a little bit cheaper who offer a bit more attacking potential. So while I do have already investment in the Man City defence with Cancelo, I'm starting to question whether I need that double up or I can use that money elsewhere to either go down into a cheaper asset and then use the funds to upgrade other areas in my team, which I'm going to discuss in a bit. Now, Livramento on the bench, I don't know about you guys, but I have missed every single points return that he has had this season, and it is going again with 6-pointer on the bench for me. Thankfully it wasn't a goal because I think I would have pulled my hair out, but 6 points is not too bad, and it's still good to see him performing in the team, and it means that when I do require him in the side, I'm confident enough to have him starting. But you'll see soon whether I'm looking at starting him ahead of game week 11. Surprise, surprise, not in my starting 11. So obviously my transfer, for those who tuned in last game week, was I pulled the trigger on Saka and I brought in Phil Foden. Now, of course, Saka got the assist there, but when I looked at the actual decision between it, I thought to myself, looking at the score for game week 11 coming up, I didn't need 2 free transfers for that team. I was completely happy with the squad. Foden for game week 10 looked like a prime transfer with the home fixture against Crystal Palace. Obviously, we didn't know what was going to happen, and I was completely happy with that decision. I would have done it again if I had the choice to do so. And fingers crossed with European football, if all my players survive that, I think I wouldn't have needed those 2 free transfers. So I was happy to make that move and I would have done it again. And it was just unfortunate really that Foden didn't return because he played okay really in Man City, obviously down to 10 men. Who knows what they would have done with 11. Now Rafinha obviously coming in clutch, saving the midfield a little bit obviously after the Salah assist. But again, with his effective ownership nearly 200%, everybody's captaining Salah right now. So less spoken about the better with Salah because it's a little bit boring. But Rafinha coming in well definitely helped me out, and he's definitely one to hold. I think he's one of the best value picks in the game still, and one of Leeds' talisman. Now the front line is where the big problem was this game week. Tony is really kind of one of those players right now where I think we might be hyping him up more than he actually is. Now, I've looked at the underlying stats. The stats are okay for him, but I think the FPL community are hyping him up a little bit too much than what he actually is. What he is a talisman penalty taker in a promoted side, and that is the big thing for me. The promoted side means that it's unpredictability in the performances of Brentford. However, I've seen enough, and with the fixtures coming up, to definitely hold Tony going forward. But I definitely think that in the future, he's somebody I might look to shift on, maybe go down and save myself a bit of cash. And Jamie Vardy with the 1 pointer there. That Lukaku injury a few weeks back has been the biggest problem for my team, because I felt Vardy was the go-to man. Didn't want to make the move in the first place, but had to, and he's proved in not to be the best transfer right now. But coming up with the fixtures, I think there's still returns for him, and I still don't see any need to necessarily rush him out of the side. So obviously I'll have a little chat about my plans on my team in the next part of the video, but that is me all out for this game week. 53 points. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I will take a green arrow every day of the week. And of course, with the Spurs news, as I mentioned, now at the time of recording, Conte hasn't been announced, but we're assuming he is going to be confirmed the manager. That has meant that the acceleration of bringing in Spurs assets is probably going to pick up for me a little bit. I pinpointed game week 12 as the time to either get in Son or Kane. Now I think I'm going to be bringing that in possibly for the next game week, if not definitely game week 12. And maybe even a defender on the radar, because as a Chelsea fan, I know what Conte can do. And when we have Victor Moses and Alonso on our wing-back positions, the guy can work magic, that's for sure, with those two. So he could do wonders with the Spurs team. And first and foremost, he's going to get them not conceding stupid goals. And then he's going to be getting them Son and Kane flair players into the game. And that is where the points are going to be. So that was me all out for game week 10. Let's have a quick preview at what my team and transfer plans are for game week 11. Right guys, so here is the squad for game week 11. As you can see, one free transfer and 0.4 million in the bank. So what directions am I planning on going right now? So first and foremost, worth noting that rolling the free transfer is definitely an option that I'm considering right now. And the main reason why I'm considering it is because the Spurs fixtures from game week 12 are looking absolutely phenomenal. I have them over the next 4 from game week 12 as the best team attacking fixture wise. So that is why we definitely want to be bringing in at least one Spurs attacking asset. So rolling that free transfer into game week 12 just gives me greater flexibility with the squad to really try and get myself directed towards those Spurs assets. As right now, as you can see on my team, I don't have any way to go directly from a midfielder into Son unless I sell Salah, which is not happening. And I don't have the money in the bank to upgrade one of my forwards into Kane. So having those 2 free transfers will give me the opportunity to invest into those assets without taking the points hit. So that is definitely something that I'm considering right now. Now, if I was to make a move in game week 11, there's a few thought processes that I have to go through in terms of whether I want to take a points hit or I want to prepare the squad for game week 12. So that means doing one free transfer with that set up with money in the bank to invest in game week 12. Now, the big issue with that right now is that money is going to be very tight with the team. So with the squad I have on screen right now, I look at it as both goalkeepers are locked in. James, Trent, Cancelo, Livramento locks in the team. Mbeumo, Brownhill, Rafinha, Salah, probably even Foden right now are locks in the team. And Tony and Antonio are probably going to be players that I'm considering keeping as well. So I only really look at Vardy and Diaz as 2 players that I am tempted to potentially rotate in my squad. Now, the big deal is with Jamie Vardy is those fixtures coming up, really. Now, I think a lot of people who own Jamie Vardy are looking at potentially game week 12, shipping him out because of that Chelsea home fixture and bringing in Harry Kane with the anticipation of Conte being as the manager and getting them firing on all cylinders. The big problem with that is Kane has brilliant fixtures, but Jamie Vardy has home to Watford, away to Southampton, away to a leaky Villa, and home to Newcastle. So you'd argue that those fixtures for Jamie Vardy are as good as anybody's in the game. So it's going to be very difficult to ship Jamie Vardy out, get myself about 1.5 million to invest into Harry Kane, who, although Conte is a magic man, we are pulling the trigger on a bit of an uncertain sort of proposition there. Whereas in Jamie Vardy, at least we know the way Leicester are set up. I know they're underperforming right now, but I would expect Brendan Rodgers to get them into a bit of a better position by game week 13. So that is the thought process right now. Jamie Vardy is he would be the make way for Harry Kane, but I do think that it could bite a lot of managers in the ass down the line because of those great fixtures that Jamie Vardy does have. So I think it's almost a case of acceptance that if you do sell Jamie Vardy and bring in Harry Kane, you just got to accept that they could be pretty much equal scoring over that period, but you're kind of going for Harry Kane just with that potential of what if, and if Conte can really find that magic touch early doors. Now, when I look at the squad here, I think the other thing that I'm considering right now is selling Diaz. Now, as I mentioned, Cancelo is a lock for me right now, considering they're both so equally priced. Diaz just doesn't offer the attacking returns that I want from an FPL asset. Now, a lot of people are talking about going across the Chilwell. With the Burnley game coming up for Chelsea, I do anticipate a potential rotation. Of course, we need to see what the Champions League squad looks like, but we do usually cater towards tall players against Burnley. Teams historically do it, and Alonso is definitely the better of the two from an aerial point of view. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Alonso feature in game week 11. I'm not saying he is definitely going to start. So that makes the Diaz to Chilwell move a little bit of a uncertain move for me. Now, the big one that I am considering right now, and this is again, it's all assumptive that Conte can work his magic early doors, is going to be a move from Diaz to Spurs' Reguilon. Now, just coming down here to pick up Reguilon in a minute so we can see what it looks like in my squad and how that looks in terms of money in the bank. As you can see there, 5 million from Reguilon, which if we get the anticipation of Conte playing a 3-5-2 potentially formation, that is going to give him plenty of license on that left wing back role to get up and down the pitch. And we've seen what Conte does with the Inter Milan teams, with the Chelsea teams, a lot of emphasis on them getting forward. So I really like the prospect of Reguilon at 5 million. And what that does do for my team is that it gives me 1.5 million in the bank, which is perfect amount of money for me investing from Jamie Vardy into Harry Kane. Now, of course, the big problem with this is if I was going to do this for game week 11, that will be a -4 points hit. And people know I hate points hits. So while I'm tempted to do Diaz to Reguilon and not do the points hit, my only issue is if traction starts to build with Harry Kane, Conte news comes out, everybody gets hyped about Harry Kane, about his 5% ownership. All we need is 1 or 2 price rises and I get completely cashed out of that. So making the Reguilon move is a nice way of me kind of making them steps to Harry Kane. But I feel like making that move for Reguilon early doors means that I'm setting myself up basically for Harry Kane, which I feel like I need to just pull that trigger early, because if I miss out on him, I'm kind of stuck with a Reguilon and then a Vardy, and I don't really have the cash to do Phil Foden to Son. Otherwise, I need to make another transfer. So my current thought process is if I get in Reguilon, I feel like I'll just do the -4, bring in Harry Kane as well, and just say that's what is done with Jamie Vardy, and whatever he does in the future, I just have to live with it, because I cannot risk having Harry Kane's price increase and lose out on him as an asset. So that is my main focus right now, is probably bringing in Harry Kane. Now, a lot of people are probably thinking, what about Son? I really do like Son as an asset. Of course, he's a brilliant pick, and if he does get a goal, he usually ends up in the bonus points. But with Harry Kane, penalties are a big factor, and looking at my squad right now, I would need to do a little bit of rejiggling to get the funds available to invest. Now, that would mean sacrificing Foden, and that would mean probably downgrading Jamie Vardy. And the problem with downgrading Jamie Vardy is I am not interested in any of the assets out there. Calvert-Lewin and Bamford, the 2 assets that I would have targeted, are currently out injured, and unfortunately that's probably about 3 or 4 game weeks down the line where I can consider them. So right now, I think the better move is for me to downgrade Diaz and then upgrade Jamie Vardy into Harry Kane. So looking at it right now, if we were to make those moves, my squad going into game week, God, I have to scroll down for Kane, which is quite sad, would look something like this on screen. So I'd be coming in with a 4-point hit, but I'll be riding in with Harry Kane and Reguilon with the assumption that Conte can get them firing on all cylinders. Now, that is going to provide me with a major benching headache going forward. And I think a lot of people are probably thinking, why game week 11 for Tottenham? Well, we saw Everton lose 2-1 against Wolves. Really, really not impressive at all, especially from a defensive perspective. And I think with the excitement at Spurs and expecting better football from them, I think that Everton fixture is a great entry point for the likes of Harry Kane, who is obviously sitting around 5% ownership. Brilliant time to pull the trigger. And when we look at the fixtures coming up, as I mentioned, Everton, Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, even Brighton and Leicester, if Conte can get them going, looks like a brilliant longer term run of fixtures. So 6.4%. It feels like a bit of a cheat code right now in FPL if we can get Harry Kane firing. So as I mentioned, guys, it's either going to be a roll or it's going to be a -4 point hit. Go early doors on the Spurs assets and then really try and just hope for the best that Conte works his magic. But of course, I will be updating you guys in my Game Week 11 team selection video, which is going to come out Friday morning. Where I'm going to confirm all my transfers, let you guys know exactly what direction I'm going with the team. And of course, always we've got the FPL Showdown section coming up in Thursday, so you don't want to miss that one out, guys. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap up today's Game Week 10 recap and obviously Game Week 11 preview. Hopefully that has given you guys a little bit of an idea on what direction I'm going in. As I mentioned, the deep dive is going to be saved for the international break. I really want to go into the last game weeks, 11 game weeks, get a real good idea of which players we should be looking at going forward after the international break, as I think that's a big enough data size for us to really get an idea on what players are starting to emerge in their respective teams. So as I said, guys, I will be releasing the Game Week Showdowns, FPL Showdowns for Game Week 11. And I can already confirm it is going to be a Son versus Kane, very, very focused video. So be sure to check that one out, as I'm going to give my views on which one you should definitely target for your teams, and whether you should bring in both really going forward. And of course, I'm going to be dropping my Game Week 11 team selection video on Friday, so you don't want to miss that one out, guys. And of course, if you want to support the video and the channel, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and try to drop about 3 or 4 a week. So hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's a Friday deadline, so don't miss that one as well. I think it's about 6:30 deadline, so don't miss that. And I'll try and drop a live as well Friday evening. So guys, I will see you guys on Thursday or Wednesday for the next video, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.